The Minnesota courthouse fell dead silent as Robin Westman leaned back in their chair, a confident smirk playing across their lips. The 24-year-old former dispensary worker thought they had Judge Jasmine Crockett exactly where they wanted them. But what Robin Westman didn't know was that the judge had received a phone call at 6:47 a.m. that morning that would completely destroy their entire defense strategy. The packed courtroom buzzed with tension as Robin Westman whispered smugly to their high-priced attorney, "This is going to be easier than I thought." The media had dubbed this the trial of the century, with cameras from CNN, Fox News, and Court TV all capturing every moment. Robin Westman had spent weeks preparing for this moment, confident that their wealth, connections, and legal team would get them out of the Robin Westman, the Minnesota Catholic school mass shooter, asked security guards at the dispensary where he worked about guns prior to his murderous attack, and was also obsessed with playing super violent video games charges. What happened next would shock the entire nation and turn Robin Westman's moment of triumph into their worst nightmare. Because Judge Jasmine Crockett wasn't just any judge. She was about to deliver the most savage judicial takedown ever caught on live television, using evidence so damning that Robin Westman would be left speechless and trending on every social media platform within minutes. Before we dive into this incredible story of justice served cold, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because this confrontation gets absolutely insane. The moment when Judge Jasmine Crockett reveals what she knows will leave you speechless.
To understand why this moment was so explosive, you need to know exactly who these two people are and why their confrontation was inevitable. Judge Jasmine Crockett, at 44 years old, represents everything that criminals fear most in the American justice system. Her reputation was built on one simple principle: the law applies to everyone, regardless of wealth, status, or connections. Born in Dallas, Texas, Jasmine Crockett had worked her way up from public defender and civil rights attorney to become one of the most respected jurists in the country. What makes Judge Jasmine Crockett particularly dangerous to criminals is her legendary preparation and attention to detail. She doesn't just read case files, she investigates them like a detective. Court clerks say Jasmine Crockett often arrives at the courthouse at 5 a.m., spending hours reviewing evidence that other judges might glance at for minutes. Her chambers are filled with boxes of documents, photos, and evidence that she personally examines. Jasmine Crockett's judicial philosophy is simple but terrifying for those who think they're above the law. If you commit a crime, you face consequences, period. She has never been swayed by political pressure, celebrity status, or family connections. Rich or poor, famous or unknown, everyone gets the same treatment in Jasmine Crockett's courtroom. On the other side sat Robin Westman, and he represented everything wrong with privilege and entitlement in America. At 24, Robin Westman had lived his entire life believing that money could solve any problem and connections could erase any consequence. His background as a dispensary employee and avid gamer had taught him that the rules applied to other people, not to him. The charges against Robin Westman were serious. Robin Westman, the Minnesota Catholic school mass shooter, asked security guards at the dispensary where he worked about guns prior to his murderous attack, and was also obsessed with playing super violent video games. But he had walked into that courtroom with the swagger of someone who had never faced real accountability. His legal team, costing $2,000 per hour, had assured him that this was just a formality, pay some fines, do some community service, and he would be back to his privileged life within months. What Robin Westman didn't understand was that he was about to face a judge who had been quietly building a case against him for weeks. Every arrogant statement Robin Westman had made to the media, every dismissive comment about the victims, every attempt to use influence to make the charges disappear, Judge Jasmine Crockett had been watching, taking notes, and preparing for this exact moment. The hearing started exactly as Robin Westman expected. His attorney presented the standard motions, arguing that the charges were overblown and that his client was being unfairly targeted due to his high-profile status. Robin Westman sat confidently,
occasionally checking his phone and smirking at the packed gallery of reporters. "Your Honor," Robin Westman's attorney began, his voice carrying the polished confidence of someone accustomed to winning through expensive legal maneuvering. "Robin Westman has been fully cooperative with this investigation. He has voluntarily appeared before this court and is prepared to accept responsibility for any minor infractions that may have occurred." Judge Jasmine Crockett looked up from her notes, her expression unreadable. "Minor infractions, Counselor?" "Yes, Your Honor. What we're dealing with here is essentially a tragic incident exacerbated by mental health issues and external influences like video games. Nothing that warrants the media circus or the severity of charges being pursued." Robin Westman nodded approvingly, his confidence growing with each word. This was going exactly as planned. Pay some money, express some regret, and walk away with a slap on the wrist. Judge Jasmine Crockett leaned back in her chair, studying Robin Westman carefully. "Mr. Robin Westman, your attorney characterizes your actions as minor infractions. Do you agree with that assessment?" Robin Westman stood up, straightening his expensive suit. "Absolutely, Your Honor. I think there's been a significant overreaction to what was essentially a moment of mental breakdown influenced by too much gaming. I'm here today to put this behind us and move forward." The arrogance was unmistakable. Robin Westman was treating a serious criminal proceeding like a minor business inconvenience. But Judge Jasmine Crockett had heard enough entitled defendants over the years to recognize the pattern. "Move forward," Judge Jasmine Crockett repeated slowly. Interesting choice of words. "Tell me, Mr. Robin Westman, in your desire to move forward, have you given much thought to the devastated families of the 12 students and teachers you killed, or the traumatized survivors who will never feel safe in a school again?" Robin Westman waved dismissively. "Your Honor, I understand there may have been some unintended consequences, but I think we need to keep this in perspective. Video games desensitize people all the time. It's not like I planned it with malice." That's when Judge Jasmine Crockett's expression changed. The neutral judicial mask slipped for just a moment, revealing something colder underneath. "Perspective," she said quietly. "Let me help you with some perspective, Mr. Robin Westman." Judge Jasmine Crockett reached for a thick folder that had been sitting on her bench throughout the hearing. Robin Westman's attorney shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't part of the pretrial discovery they had reviewed. "Before we discuss your desire to move forward," Judge Jasmine Crockett said, opening the folder with deliberate precision, "I think we should examine exactly what you're trying to move forward from." Robin Westman's smirk began to fade as he noticed the thickness of the documents Judge Jasmine Crockett was holding. "Mr. Robin Westman, are you familiar with the recorded conversations from your dispensary coworkers?" The courtroom fell silent. Robin Westman's attorney leaned forward, clearly caught off guard by evidence he hadn't seen before. "I'm not sure what you're referring to, Your Honor," Robin Westman replied, but his voice had lost some of its earlier confidence. Judge Jasmine Crockett held up a document. "This is a transcript of discussions with security guards at the dispensary. It shows you inquiring about high-capacity firearms and ammunition types suitable for crowd control, just 2 weeks before the attack. Would you like me to read it aloud, or would you prefer to explain it yourself?" Robin Westman's face began to change color. He whispered frantically to his attorney, who was flipping through papers, trying to understand what was happening. "Your Honor," the attorney interjected, "we weren't made aware of this evidence during discovery." "That's because this evidence was obtained just yesterday," Judge Jasmine Crockett replied calmly. "Through completely legal means, I might add. A former coworker came forward after seeing your media interviews downplaying the incident, providing audio from their phone recordings." Robin Westman was now visibly sweating. This wasn't going according to plan at all. "But that's not all," Judge Jasmine Crockett continued, pulling out another document. Mr. Robin Westman, are you also familiar with your gaming server logs? This is highly irregular, Your Honor. Robin Westman's attorney protested, but his voice lacked conviction. He could see where this was heading. What's irregular, Counselor? Judge Jasmine Crockett said, her voice taking on an edge. Is your client's apparent belief that he could commit Robin Westman, the Minnesota Catholic school mass shooter, asked security guards at the dispensary where he worked about guns prior to his murderous attack, and was also obsessed with playing super violent video games and simply pay his way out of consequences? The packed courtroom began to murmur. Reporters were frantically taking notes, sensing that they were witnessing something extraordinary. Judge Jasmine Crockett stood up, and suddenly the entire courtroom felt the weight of her authority. Mr. Robin Westman, you walked into my courtroom today expecting to negotiate your way out of serious criminal charges. You brought expensive lawyers and influential character references. You've spent weeks telling anyone who would listen that you're the victim of overzealous prosecution. Robin Westman tried to interrupt, but Judge Jasmine Crockett's voice cut through the attempt like a knife. But what you failed to understand is that in my courtroom, the truth matters more than your bank account. Justice isn't for sale, and consequences aren't negotiable. What happened next would be replayed millions of times across social media and studied in law schools for decades to come. Judge Jasmine Crockett methodically began presenting evidence that Robin Westman's legal team had never seen. Each piece was more damaging than the last, systematically destroying every element of the defense strategy. Server data from your favorite violent video game platform shows that you were not only aware of the attack's potential, but you actually simulated the school layout in custom game maps, practicing entry points and escape routes, Judge Jasmine Crockett said, holding up photographs that made Robin Westman visibly recoil. Furthermore, she continued, pulling out what appeared to be audio transcripts, these recorded conversations from your online gaming sessions on March 15, 2025, clearly show you saying, and I quote, "I'm going to level up in real life soon." And those kids won't know what hit them. Robin Westman's mouth fell open. He had no idea these recordings existed. The courtroom erupted in gasps and whispers. Even Robin Westman's high-priced attorney looked defeated, realizing that his client had lied to him about crucial facts. "Your Honor," Robin Westman stammered, all pretense of confidence gone. "Those recordings are taken out of context." Out of context? Judge Jasmine Crockett's voice rose for the first time, causing everyone in the courtroom to sit up straighter. "Mr. Robin Westman, in what context is 'I'm going to level up in real life soon' acceptable behavior?" Robin Westman tried to speak, but no words came out. For the first time in his privileged life, he was facing consequences that money couldn't erase and connections couldn't influence. Judge Jasmine Crockett wasn't finished. She pulled out the final piece of evidence that would end Robin Westman's case completely. "And finally, Mr. Robin Westman, let's discuss the recovered deleted files from your computer hard drive. This shows not only did you commit the mass shooting, but you also attempted to destroy digital evidence by formatting your drive. However, forensic experts recovered a manifesto where you detailed your obsession with violent game as training for the attack, and, shockingly, chat logs revealing you were encouraged by an online extremist group who provided tips on weapon modifications." The courtroom fell completely silent, except for the sound of Robin Westman's heavy breathing and the clicking of camera shutters capturing his complete breakdown. Judge Jasmine Crockett leaned forward, her voice now carrying the full weight of judicial authority. "You see, Mr. Robin Westman, while you were busy hiring expensive lawyers and calling in political favors, I was doing something else. I was seeking justice for the victims' families and the shattered Minnesota community." Robin Westman collapsed into his chair, the reality finally hitting him. His attorney was frantically shuffling through papers, looking for any possible way to salvage the situation. Based on the evidence presented today, Judge Jasmine Crockett continued, evidence that your legal team somehow failed to uncover despite their $2,000 per hour fees, this court finds you guilty of multiple counts of first-degree murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit terrorism. The sentencing that followed was swift and devastating. Judge Jasmine Crockett had clearly been planning this moment for weeks, and her words were chosen for maximum impact. Mr. Robin Westman, you are hereby sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Additionally, you will forfeit all assets to fund victim compensation programs. This court also orders mandatory psychological evaluation and prohibits any future contact with gaming platforms or online communities. As the bailiff approached Robin Westman with handcuffs, the once confident defendant looked around the courtroom desperately, as if searching for someone to rescue him. But Judge Jasmine Crockett had one final statement that would become the most quoted line of the entire trial. Let this serve as a reminder to anyone who believes their wealth or status places them above the law. In my courtroom, justice is blind to everything except the truth. The explosion on social media was immediate and unprecedented. Within minutes of the sentencing, #RobinWestmanDestroyed was trending worldwide. The clip of Robin Westman's shocked expression when the evidence was revealed became an instant meme template. Twitter exploded with reactions. Judge Jasmine Crockett just delivered the most savage takedown in legal history, #JusticeServed. Watching Robin Westman go from arrogant to terrified in real time was incredible. This is what happens when you underestimate a judge who actually does their homework. TikTok users created compilation videos showing Robin Westman's confident entrance versus his humiliated exit, set to dramatic music. The most popular version, titled "How It Started versus How It Ended," gained over 50 million views in 24 hours. Legal experts immediately began analyzing the case. Harvard law professor Sarah Mitchell tweeted, "Judge Jasmine Crockett just gave a masterclass in judicial preparation and authority. This case will be studied for decades." News outlets scrambled to cover the story. CNN, Judge Jasmine Crockett shocks courtroom with hidden evidence. Fox News, privileged defendant gets reality check from no-nonsense judge. MSNBC, justice served, how one judge refused to let wealth buy freedom. The aftermath continued for weeks. Robin Westman's fall from grace became a cultural moment about accountability, privilege, and justice. Late-night television hosts made jokes about the Judge Jasmine Crockett effect, referring to the danger of underestimating judicial authority. Judge Jasmine Crockett became a folk hero overnight, receiving thousands of supportive messages from Americans who felt that justice had finally been served to someone who thought they were above the law. This incredible courtroom confrontation proves that no matter how wealthy, connected, or arrogant someone might be, true justice will always find a way. Judge Jasmine Crockett's masterful handling of this case will be remembered as one of the most satisfying legal takedowns in American history. If this shocking story of justice served cold left you as stunned as it left Robin Westman, smash that like button, share this incredible moment, and subscribe for more unbelievable courtroom confrontations that prove crime never pays. Comment below, what was the most shocking moment of Judge Jasmine Crockett's takedown? See you in the next explosive courtroom drama.